Let's get you guys set up with 3 of the most broken solo carries for every single role in patch 14.2. A ton of massive changes are coming for this patch, so we'll be seeing a pretty big shake-up to the solo carry list. We'll be constantly updating you guys on all the new meta trends for Season 14, so if you want to keep up and have not subscribed already, make sure to do so. But before we get into it, be sure to check out SkillCapped if you want to truly get better at League of Legends. We're the only service that offers a money-back guarantee if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service. We do this because our service really does work, and if it doesn't work for you, you shouldn't pay. Learn more at the end of this video or click the link in the description below. Starting off up in the top lane, one champion who has been thriving with the Season 14 item changes has been Aatrox. As if the healing from Aatrox's kit wasn't already enough, the new item addition called Sundered Sky has brought his sustain to another level. Aatrox is now so oppressive when ahead because he deals ridiculous consistent damage, but he's so difficult to take down at the same time. The 2-item core that you should be looking to run revolves around Sundered Sky and Spear of Shojin. This 2-item spike is what you're looking to play toward in each game as Aatrox, as the solo carry strength on completion is nuts. 3rd item really depends on the game, but Sterix, Black Cleaver, and Maw are all viable options. To see this new build in action and learn more about Aatrox, our challenger top laner Strumpist has a brand new full game commentary for Aatrox on our website. We're always uploading commentaries on meta picks and builds from our challenger players each week, so they're really great resources if you're looking to stay on top of the meta. Matchup-wise for Aatrox, the champions in meta he's having a more difficult time against are Fiora and Riven, so either is a good ban. The best keystone rune for Aatrox is Conqueror with Triumph, Tenacity, and Last Stand. Grab Second Wind and Revitalize for secondaries. A bit of a sleeper top lane pick flying under the radar to start Season 14 is Kled. There's actually this really crazy lethality version of Kled that is seeing incredible success right now, and it's slowly starting to catch on. With the recent buff to Hubris, it's a really great first pickup as the snowball potential from its stacking passive is insane. You can then go into another buffed lethality item in Profane Hydra to help with your wave clear and round it all out with Cyrilda's Grudge 3rd. When playing into a very squishy comp that you'll be able to burst out really quickly, this build will work great for you. On the flip side though, one of the big perks to Kled right now is that he can pivot to a more bruiser setup and do just as well if the enemy comp has more bruisers or tanks. Titanic Hydra Rush with Black Cleaver and Sundered Sky is a super strong bruiser build for Kled. One of the worst matchups for Kled in meta is Fiora due to her W hard countering Kled's Q, so she's a good ban to consider. The rune page for Kled is Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand, followed by Demolish and Second Wind for secondaries. If you're new to top lane or just want a very simple yet strong champion to pick up and start stomping with, Trundle is the play. Really great champion right now for low elo, especially as his split push is incredibly difficult to contain. You leave Trundle in the side lane for 10 seconds, think everything will be okay, and then he's just taken 2 towers before you even have time to blink. I've seen so many Trundle players over the past while just be completely useless throughout the early game, are 0 and 5 before laning phase ends, and they just perma-split all game and out-impact the enemy top laner. If you can still have impact while basically inting, it just goes to show how strong the champion can be if he's able to obtain an early lead, which you can actually do in a lot of matchups as Trundle's early dueling power is not to be slept on. One matchup that can be a bit difficult for Trundle right now is Teemo. Teemo back in meta and a strong pick makes him more ban-worthy, as his blind and ranged harass makes it quite difficult for Trundle to win out in trades. Optimal core build for Trundle is a Trinity Force Rush into Ravenous Hydra 2nd and Hullbreaker 3rd. Lethal Tempo is the keystone rune with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand. Grab Demolish and Bone Plating for secondaries. Rengar has been a huge winner from the Season 14 item changes, and he kicks off the top 3 for jungle. At the start of 14.1, Voltaic Cyclosword was a really great rush item for Rengar, but now that Hubris has been buffed, it's taking over. Hubris as a rush on a lot of these lethality champions is just so good now, as the amount of bonus AD you can stack up throughout the game makes the item insanely cost efficient. The new Season 14 core build for Rengar just eliminates so many of his previous weaknesses while keeping his burst extremely high. The item you build 3rd, called Opportunity, makes Rengar's assassination potential so much less risky later on in the game. You get 150 decaying movement speed after killing a target, so it's now way easier to escape from a fight instead of just trading 1 for 1. Rengar does not have a negative win rate against many junglers right now, but one he is struggling more against is Master Yi. Yi with his damage reduction from W can make it more difficult to burst him out, and Yi in general is just really good right now with the new items, so he's a solid ban option. Rune page for Rengar is First Strike with Free Boots, Futures Market, and Cosmic Insight. Run Sudden Impact and Ultimate Hunter for secondaries. With early ganking becoming less reliable and new item additions suiting him extremely well, Master Yi is back on top of the solo queue jungle meta. Experimental Hexplate is just the perfect item for Yi, as it makes his all-in power super lethal and gives him a bit of added durability, which feels super nice as well. Yi is a pretty ult-reliant champion, especially as games drag out, so having that R ability haste is absolutely perfect too. Season 13 Yi literally had no haste in his build at all, so the fact you're getting your R off cooldown way faster in Season 14 really adds to his snowball potential in the mid game. It looks as if Hexplate is actually seeing a small buff in 14.2 as well, so if that goes through, it will just make Yi even better. The complete core build consists of a Blade of the Ruined King Rush into Hexblade 2nd and Rageblade 3rd. There really isn't a must-ban jungler for Yi right now, but you can never go wrong with Rammus, as his armor stacking and taunt can be more difficult to play around. Best rune page for Yi consists of Lethal Tempo with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand, roll with Eyeball Collection and Relentless Hunter for secondaries. Much like Master Yi, another jungler who loves full clearing and doesn't mind the fact there are less gank opportunities early on is Graves. Graves has been taking over with his lethality build, as the mid-game spike from Ghostblade and the Collector is way more powerful this season. If you're looking for a jungler to one-trick and get really good at right now, Graves is one of the best options. Graves' skill floor is a bit higher than someone like Master Yi, so if you're expecting immediate results, you may be discouraged. However, if you can be consistent and put the time in, the reward for mastering Graves is very high. To really fast-track your success on Graves, we have a Master in Minutes course for the champion on our website that can help you a ton. You get less out of Graves' kit when playing against magic damage champions, since his E only gives armor, so banning out a meta jungler like Lilia is good value. Best rune page for Graves is Fleet Footwork with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Pick up Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. With many Storm Surge champions hit with nerfs in 14.2 and direct nerfs handed out to Fizz, we're seeing a shakeup to the mid lane top 3. Making his way into the top 3 for mid lane, and for the first time in a while, actually a better mid laner than a jungler is Echo. Echo has always been so reliant on hitting his 2-item core to be most effective, so the Season 14 item changes have helped him out massively. You now have access to both Rocket Belt and Lichbane, 600 gold earlier than in Season 13, while the AP on Lichbane was also buffed for Season 14, so the 2 core items that Echo purchases have been changed perfectly. If you've been building Storm Surge in 14.1, definitely look to drop at this patch, as it's being nerfed pretty hard. Now, the only downside to Echo mid is that his first few levels are quite weak. Banning out a melee mid like Akali or Fizz is good value, as it's very difficult for Echo to ever proc his passive in those matchups, and if you don't proc passive with Echo, you're really never winning a trade. Once you can begin one-shotting the back wave at level 7 though, things become much easier as you can start perma-pushing and roaming. Since red side bot lane is now much easier to gank in Season 14, it lets Echo set up dive plays with his ultimate really well. The rune page many high elo Echo mids have been running and seeing much better success with consists of Hail of Blades. Electric is by no means bad on Echo, but ever since Electra was nerfed last season, Hail of Blades' priority has been on the rise. The best AD assassin mid laner for solo queue right now is Qiyana. The new lethality items are just way too good for the champion. In the past, you had Prowler's Claw and Ghostblade that helped you close the gap very easily, but you didn't have a nice escape tool for after you bursted a target. Well, in Season 14, you have that escape tool with the item Opportunity, so by running Ghostblade with Opportunity, you're able to get in and out of fights super well. The 2-item core winning the most on Qiyana right now has her rushing Ghostblade and going Opportunity second. Remember that in 14.2, armor from runes are being completely removed from the game, so this actually gives lethality builds even more strength. The new walls around Baron Pit also give Qiyana a massive edge up in those late game fights, as her R has so much value and is way easier to hit. Overall, a ton of changes that have swayed in Qiyana's favor for Season 14, and she's a really great pickup right now. One matchup that can give you more issues and worth a ban for 14.2 is Vladimir, as his more tanky build and ability to dodge damage with W makes him more difficult to snowball off of. The best rune page for Qiyana consists of Electrocute with Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and Relentless Hunter. Best secondaries are Presence of Mind and Last Stand. Champions that can abuse the item combo of Riftmaker and Liandry's will continue to dominate the meta in 14.2, and Vladimir is one of them. Not only does Vlad have such a great 2-item core right now, but the way the mid lane meta is aligned suits him perfectly. We have Fizz as the most played mid laner, and Vlad does a phenomenal job at neutralizing Fizz due to his pool from W. As a matter of fact, Vlad does not have a negative win rate in his 11 most common matchups for solo queue. You have to go all the way down to the 12th most common matchup, which is Malzahar, to find a losing lane. Stats aside, Malz is actually one of the better bans for Vlad, since Malzahar's ultimate makes it very difficult for Vlad to function in later game fights. The complete core build you should be running on Vlad consists of a Riftmaker Rush into Liandry's second and Rabadon's third. Conquer is what a lot of high elo Vlad's been running more of in the past patch, as the more sustained damage build of Liandry's and Riftmaker works great with the stacking effects of Conqueror. If you want to climb from ADC in patch 14.2, there's really only one champion you need to be spamming, and it's Misfortune. The fact MF is so easy to pick up, coupled with the fact she's the most broken ADC, makes her a no-brainer champ that you should heavily prioritize prioritize. Lethality ADC should see even more success in 14.2 due to the removal of armor rune shards. A lot of melee supports liked running double armor runes in 14.1 to get up to 12 armor at level 1, so with that 12 armor now gone in 14.2, it makes building lethality even more valuable. The build you want to run on Misfortune is a Ghostblade Rush into the Collector 2nd and Edge of Night or Hubris 3rd. The only thing MF really struggles against is heavy dive, so using your ban on Fizz or Nocturne is a great idea. The best rune page for Misfortune is First Strike with Freeboots, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight. Run Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm for secondaries. Lucian is another ADC who has been performing great with lethality in Season 14, so he'll get a nice bump in 14.2. The new energized build on Lucian of Voltaic, Cyclosword, and Stormrazor is not only really strong, but it's also super fun to play. You can deal so much burst damage with this build, and it makes finding catch plays on squishy targets very easy. Lucian has the ability to outplay a lot of supports, being able to dodge skill shots with his mobility. However, there's not much he can do about point-and-click spells. With that in mind, since Nautilus is a highly contested support right now, he's a good ban choice if you're picking Lucian. The rune page you'll want to run on Lucian is Press the Attack with Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Coup de Grace. Grab Magical Footwear and Biscuits for secondaries. And for the third solo carry ADC of 14.2, should be no surprise that it's another lethality abuser as we round it out with Jhin. With Gale Force now gone in Season 14, lethality builds are just that much more valuable for Jhin because he gets to run Ghostblade, which helps make up for the mobility you're losing from Gale Force. With melee supports being prioritized the most right now, pairing Jhin up with any of them is great, as the chain CC potential and gank assist you'll have makes snowballing the early game much easier. Bot lane is the role being focused the most in Season 14 due to the map changes, so it gives someone like Jhin a bit of an edge up, as he can follow up on ganks better than most ADCs due to his longer range from W and R. Ghostblade is the staple rush item on Jhin, but throughout 14.1, there's been a new item performing very well in the second slot. The Collector has always been a solid choice on Jhin, but with the massive buffs to Hubris, it started to outperform the Collector. Hubris gives you stacking AD on takedowns, and Jhin is an ADC who loves flat AD, so the item works great with him. Similar to Misfortune, Jhin is going to struggle most into heavy dive comps, so good bans for this meta include Fizz or Nocturne. Dark Harvest is the keystone rune to go alongside this lethality build, followed by Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection, and Treasure Hunter. Optimal secondaries are Presence of Mind and Coup de Grace. The best support that you can play for solo queue in 14.2, who's still being slept on by many support players, is Maokai. We had Maokai in our solo carry list for 14.1, and he's back again for 14.2 because none of the changes negatively affect him this patch. In short, Maokai is just way too strong with the new support item Trailblazer, as it helps out with his engage, gives him great roam power, and offers a nice amount of durability. So much of Maokai's strength comes from his point-and-click route from W, and the only thing that gates his ability to use the spell is if he can get in range or not. By running Trailblazer with Boots of Swiftness, you have so much movement speed that you can just run straight at enemies, and there's really nothing they can do, especially if you have Flash Up. The core build you should prioritize on Maokai is a Trailblazer Rush into Locket 2nd and Knight's Vow 3rd. Worst matchups for Maokai are against champions with strong peel power, so if you intend on picking the champion, banning out Janna is a good idea. For the rune page, it's Aftershock with Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Unflinching, followed by Hex Flash and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. As if Bard wasn't already strong enough, the 14.2 changes to runes should be very kind to him. There's a new movement speed rune shard being added this patch, and for a roaming support like Bard, more access to movement speed is always welcome. Throughout the beginning of 14.1, everyone was running Trailblazer on Bard, and it's still a good pickup. However, there seems to be an even more broken build that's catching on. Frozen Heart Rush into Kanik Rookern 2nd is taking over right now and providing Bard with a ridiculous amount of tankiness for a relatively cheap price. Now, Frozen Heart is seeing a cost increase for 14.2, so the build does become slightly weaker. However, the nerf will just bring the build more in line with where it should be, then actually make it significantly weaker. This setup just works so great on Bard because he can play more like an engaged support, getting right up in the thick of things and being a massive disruptor with his slow from passive and Q. Even if you aren't the best Bard players on the mechanical front, just by running this build, you can make a great impact due to your durability. Bard hates playing against high mobility because it makes landing his R much more difficult, so banning out the highest played ADC in Lucian is good value right now. For the rune page on Bard, look to pick up Guardian with Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Unflinching, followed by Zombie Ward and Relentless Hunter for secondaries. And to round out the top 3 for support, another really great melee engaged champ you can play for 14.2 is Rakan. Rakan's 2-item core is just so deadly right now because he's able to rush Trailblazer to help get him in range of targets, and then the new Zeke's works amazing for him to actually kill his target. We feel the Zeke's change for Season 14 kind of flew under the radar, as the passive is now completely different from before. The Season 13 version of Zeke's procced off immobilizing effects, and the bonus damage was only applied if your teammate attacked that immobilized target. Season 14 Zeke's passive is just way more consistent, as it procs when you use your ultimate, and provides 50 magic damage every second while slowing the enemy by 30%. This effect lasts for 5 seconds, so in total you can get 250 damage off from Zeke's alone. So overall, you're now just less reliant on your teammates actually following up to get value out of Zeke's, which gives Rakan a little more solo carry power. With Rakan being heavily reliant on diving in to be most effective, using your ban on a good peel support like Janna is a good idea. The best rune setup for Rakan consists of Guardian with Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Unflinching, followed by Zombie Ward and Ultimate Hunter for secondaries. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCapped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week, with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent challenger players into ELO Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you are serious about improving. So there you have it guys, a brand new look at the best solo carries as we head into patch 14.2. Thanks so much for watching, good luck with your rank climbs, and we'll see you in the next one.